MySQL documentation. 3.2 Entering queries. Make sure that you are connected to the server as discussed in the previous section. Doing so does not in itself select any database to work with, but that is okay. At this point, it is more important to find out a little bit about how to issue queries than to jump right into creating tables, loading data into them, and retrieving data from them. This section describes the basic principles of entering queries. Using several queries, you can try out to familiarize yourself with how MySQL works. Here is a simple query that asks the server to tell you its version number and the current date. Type it as shown here, following the MySQL prompt and press enter. So you can open your terminal, your MySQL terminal. I'm just gonna open my Windows PowerShell terminal. I'm gonna make it bigger, and I'm gonna type in MySQL. It's gonna be -u for user, and the user is gonna be root. Now it's gonna be -p to prompt me the password, and now I'm gonna type in my password, and you can do the same. You have to type in the password that you created when you install MySQL. So I'm gonna type in okay. So it allowed me to log in, so let me see if I can try it out like that. Okay, so we can type it in with capital letters. So we're gonna type in select version, and then open and close parentheses, a comma, space, and then current underscore date, and then we are gonna end this statement with a semicolon, and then just press enter. And as you can see here, if I make it a little, okay, as you can see here, the version is 8.0.33, and the current date is the 1st of July, and the year is 2023. So that's pretty much it. Let me see what else do we have here. Okay, this query illustrates several things about MySQL. A query normally consists of an SQL statement followed by a semicolon. There are some exceptions where a semicolon may be omitted. Quit, mentioned earlier, is one of them. We'll get to others later. When you issue a query, MySQL sends it to the server for execution and displays the results, then prints another MySQL prompt to indicate that it is ready for another query. MySQL displays query output in tabular forms, rows and columns. As you can see here, let me see. As you can see, we have rows and we have columns. So rows are horizontals and columns are vertical. So that is that. Okay, so normally, okay, so MySQL displays query output in tabular form, rows and columns. And the first row contains labels for the columns. Okay, the first row, so this is the first row. For example, here we have version and current date. The first row contains labels for the columns. The rows following are the query results. So these are the query results, 8.3 and then 2023. Normally, column labels are the name of the columns you fetch from database tables. If you're retrieving the value of an expression rather than a table column, as in the example just shown, MySQL labels the columns using the expression itself. MySQL shows how many rows were returned and how long the query took to execute, which gives you a rough idea of server performance. These values are imprecise because they represent world clock time, not CPU or machine time, and because they are affected by factors such as server load and network latency. For brevity, the rows and set line is sometimes not shown in the remaining examples of this chapter. So we have that. As you can see here, it appears at 0.00 seconds. Okay, keywords may be entered in any letter case. The following queries are equivalent. So in our example, we type it in with capital letters. So let me see, with capital letters, but you can type in with lowercase. As you can see here, you can use select version, or you can also mix it up. So as you can see, we have select with uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, and then current date, lowercase, and then date, uppercase. Okay, so here is another query. I demonstrate that you can use MySQL as a simple calculator. So okay, well, what do we have here? Let me see. We're gonna type in, okay, I can just maybe put it like that. And okay, so I can type in, it's gonna be select, and it's gonna be the sign, and the sign of, let me see. Okay, let's type it like the select sign, open and close parentheses, so you don't make any mistakes. And then we're gonna type in pi, open and close parentheses, and then we're gonna divide it by 4. So the slash is a division, comma, space, open and close parentheses, 4 plus 1, and then we'll multiply it by 5, and finally we're gonna put a semicolon. So yeah, the first statement is the sign of pi divided by 4. So you take pi divided by 4, and then you take the sign of that, and you get 0.7071 and all that number. And then the second statement is 4 plus 1, that is 5, and then you multiply it by 5, that is 25. So that is that. But let's check it out. Let's check out with my calculator maybe. I have a scientific calculator, so let's check it out. Let me see. We need to be in, okay, we need to be in radians, since, okay, for this particular example. And it's gonna be, let me see, it's gonna be pi, so it's gonna be, let's open parentheses, and we're gonna type pipe, and we are gonna divide it by 4, like that. And we have this number, and to this number we're gonna go here in trigonometry, and then we're gonna press sign. And yeah, this is the result that we get, 0.707106, all this numbers. So yeah, that is correct. So that is that. These queries shown thus far have been relatively short single line statements. You can even enter multiple statements on a single line, just end each one with a semicolon. So here we have, okay, so here we're gonna have the select version and then select now. So again, it doesn't matter if it's lowercase or uppercase, but usually by default I type in with uppercase letters, so it's gonna be select version, like that, open and close parentheses, space, and then it's gonna be select and open and close parentheses, oops, it's gonna be now, like that, select version, open close parentheses, semicolon, and then select now, open and close parentheses, and then we're gonna end up with a semicolon. So let me see version, and now let me see what it gets. Okay, so the version is 8.0.33, and now is, okay, so here we have the time is 1:42 and July 1st. So we have that. Let me see, and okay, the time 0. seconds. Okay, so now we have a query need not be given all in a single line, so lengthy queries that require several lines are not a problem. MySQL determines where your statement ends by looking for the termination semicolon, not by looking for the end of the input line. In other words, MySQL accepts free-format input. It collects input lines but does not execute them until it sees the semicolon. So here is a simple multi-line statement, and let me see, so we're gonna go here, make it a little bigger, and we're gonna type in select and just press enter. So we're not ending it with a semicolon, so we're just press enter, so it gives us to the prompt. And now we're gonna enter user, open close parentheses, and again we didn't put the semicolon, so it's sending us to the next line. I'm gonna put in a comma, sending us to the next line, current underscore date, open close parentheses, and now I'm gonna put the semicolon, and now I'm gonna press enter. Okay, so now it finally executed. So we have the user, and this is the user, so it's root. So when you log in, MySQL space -u, and then you put root because this is the user by default. Okay, so this is the current date, as you can see here. So this is a simple multi-line statement, so in order to execute you need to put in the semicolon at the end. In this example, notice how the prompt changes from MySQL to this arrow after you enter the first line of a multi-line query. This is how MySQL indicates that it has not yet seen a complete statement and is waiting for the rest. The prompt is your friend because it provides valuable feedback. If you use the feedback, you can always be aware of what MySQL is waiting for. If you decide you do not want to execute a query that you are in the process of entering, but cancel it by typing \lowercase c. It's important that you type in lowercase c. So we're gonna try it, and we're gonna type in select. And okay, I'm gonna go to the next line, sending me to the next line. I'm gonna type in user like that. It's gonna send me to the next line, and now I'm gonna type in \lowercase c. And okay, so now fine. That's what we need to do. Okay, here to notice the prompt, it switches back to MySQL. So like we did here, it switch back to MySQL after you type \c, providing back feedback to indicate that MySQL is ready for a new query. The following table shows each of the prompts you may see and summarizes what they mean about the state that MySQL is in. So here we have, in this column we have the prompt, and in the second column we have the meaning. So MySQL ready for new query. So we have this arrow waiting for the next line of multiple line query. We have this single quote, and then we have one angle bracket waiting for the next line, waiting for the completion of a string that began with a single quote. We have double quote waiting for the next line, waiting for completion of a string that began with a double quote. So now we have a backtick waiting for next line, waiting for completion of an identifier that began with a backtick. And then we have the /* for waiting for next line, waiting for completion of a comment that began with a /*. Now we have multiple line statements commonly occur by accident when you intend to use a query on a single line, but forget that terminating semicolon. In this case, MySQL waits for more input, so we're gonna try it. So we're gonna type in select. Okay, select space user, open close parentheses, and it's gonna prompt me. So like that. If this happens to you, you think you enter a statement, but you only respond as this error prompt. Most likely MySQL is waiting for the semicolon. If you don't notice what the prompt is telling you, you might sit there for a while before realizing what you need to do. Enter a semicolon to complete the statement, and MySQL executes it. So the only thing that we just need to do is just, like I said, just type in the semicolon, press enter, and here we have this our username. Let me see. Okay, so the single and double quote prompts occur during a string collection. Another way of saying that MySQL is waiting for completion of a string. In MySQL, you can write strings surrounded by either single quotes or double quotes characters. For example, we have this string hello, or this is string, okay, this is string hello with a single quote, or this is string goodbye with double quotes. And MySQL lets you enter strings that span multiple lines. When you see a single or double quote prompt, it means that you have entered a line containing a string that begins with a single quote or double quote character, but have not yet entered the machine quote that terminates the string. This often indicates that you have inadvertently left out a quote character. For example, let me see, we can type in this whole thing, so let's make it a little bigger, and let me see if we can just, maybe I can do it like that. Okay, so we're gonna type in select. Okay, select and then asterisk, and then we're gonna use the statement from, then my underscore table, like that. And this is in lowercase, uppercase is where, and name, the name is in lowercase, and then we're gonna type in the string, so it's gonna be a Smith. Then we're gonna type in this operator and then the age, that is gonna be less than 30, and then we're gonna end it with a semicolon. So we have this statement here, and okay, let's press enter to see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, my SQL is giving us a hint that something is missing, and that missing is this Smith is a string, but this Smith string is starting with a single quote, but we need to end it with a single quote. So it is appearing like this. If you enter the select statement, then press enter and wait for the result, nothing happens as we did here. So it's just giving us the single quotes and the angle bracket. Instead of wondering why this query takes so long, notice the clue provided by the prompt. It tells you that MySQL expects to see the rest of an unterminated string. Do you see the error in the statement? The string Smith is missing the second single quotation mark. At this point, what do? The simplest thing is to cancel the query. However, you cannot just type \e in this case because MySQL interprets it as part of the string that is collecting. Instead, enter the closing quote character so MySQL knows you're finished. You finish the string, then type \c. So let me see. We are gonna go again here, and what we are gonna do is we're gonna type in single quote and then \, in lowercase c, and yeah, it's sending us back to the MySQL prompt. Okay, so the prompt changes back to MySQL, indicated that MySQL is ready for a new query. The backtick prompt is similar to the single and double quotes prompt, but indicates that you have begun but not completed a backtick quoted identifier. It is important to know what the single and double quotes and the backtick prompt signify, because if you mistakenly enter an unterminated string, any further lines you type appear to be ignored by MySQL, including a line containing quit. This can be quite confusing, especially if you do not know that you need to supply the terminating quote before you can cancel the current query. And here we have some notes. Multi-line statements from this point on are written without the secondary arrow or other prompts to make it easier to copy and paste the statements to try it for yourself. So for example here, you can, if you want, it is always recommended to type it in, but if you want to just copy, you just go here and just click copy. So you can do it like that, and you can go here and right click and paste it anyway, and you can go from that point forward.